Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Brittany coming to you live from Seniors Blue Book over Zoom, and I'm joined today by Misti from Suncoast Behavioral Health. Good afternoon, Misti.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
Pretty good.
Good. You look good, and you're at your office today, correct?
Yes, I am. I'm working in the office today.
Very good. I mean, normally people don't wear their name tags at home, so that kind of gave it away for me. So, tell us a little bit for people who haven't heard of Suncoast Behavioral Health. Tell us a little bit about the services that you provide there.
Sure. So at Suncoast, we are an inpatient psychiatric hospital. We provide services for children and adolescents, adults, and specifically mature adults. We have a specialty program for that. We are in a 5 to 7 day length of stay, so a little bit longer than the traditional crisis stabilization unit. We focus on treatment after the stabilization part. In addition to those programs, we also have partial hospitalization program and intensive outpatient. So those are some specialty outpatient programs that are a little bit more intensive and offer a little extra support if somebody is discharging from inpatient and would like to get some support before going back to real life. And then eventually we can transition them, or patients can come in off the street and just start that program. They don't have to be inpatient.
Okay.
We're a receiving facility. We offer, services 24/7. We have a dedicated emergency department that is a psychiatric emergency department, but we're available 24/7. And all of our assessments are no cost to the patients. We do that free level of care assessment to determine what level of care is most appropriate, and make referrals based upon that, whether it's with us or not.
Awesome. Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions for you is this is something that a service that insurance like Medicare or other, obviously not everybody has Medicare, even younger. So this is an insurance receiving type of service.
Yes, yeah, we are a private hospital, so we don't have a sliding scale fee, but we accept all commercial insurances, managed Medicare, straight Medicare, and the managed Medicaid plans. The only thing we don't accept is straight Medicaid.
Okay. Very
Yep.
cool. Well, today one of the, I think most popular topics right now or things that are on people's minds is, people are anxious and they're nervous about everything that's happening. Right before we were talking, I saw that the governor is now, we have an official order to stay home, in Florida. So I think in times like this, it's good to talk about some resources that are available, especially through what you guys provide. So I'm going to kind of hand it over to you, and I know you prepared something for us to share that's going to be a great resource for people that are watching.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I put together something that not only just resources that we can use, but what we can do ourselves. And kind of, I can't even lie and say that I didn't go through all of this myself and use my own personal experience. I don't know about anybody else. I've never been through a pandemic myself. I am a mental health counselor and I've been to school for this, but I did struggle with some of the same things. So a lot of the information that I am going over does come from personal experience, but then also, my education and my experience professionally as well. So the first thing that I kind of had to look at was what just happened, right? We had heard about COVID-19 and coronavirus, and then it seemed like in a matter of days, it was all on us. And we had to socially distance, and restaurants closed and bars closed and grocery stores started getting overwhelmed. So it was all just so quick, at least for me. And I was paying attention to the news, but, in a sense, you have a mindset that maybe it won't be that bad here, or maybe it won't come here, and then it did, and we had that quick. So we had a ton of changes with that. Work changed. Some people were working from home from that point on without warning or training sometimes. So having to adjust to that. I'm in marketing, Brittany, I know you are too. So for us to not be able to go out and talk to people makes it really difficult, and we have to try to navigate ways around it. But just in a few short weeks, look at us, here we are. So it works out. Homes changed, maybe you're with your spouse or your children more than you usually are in a stressful time. So you have to take that into account, that causes stress and your routine is different. The things that you do for enjoyment, for fun, for pleasure sometimes aren't available anymore. So home changed. Kids, if anybody that has kids, I don't myself, but I've talked to my sister-in-law daily, and she said it's just an ongoing struggle with trying to figure out how to manage their schedule with school and adapt to a homeschooling lifestyle, which I've been learning through this whole process is completely different than a normal Monday through Friday school routine that kids usually go through. For me, one of the things that I struggled with, and maybe other people can relate, is being in a leadership position with work. I didn't have a choice to panic. I had to be the strong one for the people that report to me and the people in the hospital that see me as a leader. And this goes the same at home too. If you have that leadership role as a parent or even as a spouse, you had to put that aside and continue to be a leader, which is a struggle. But, people look to us like we have the answers, and there was so much that was unknown about this and your own personal struggles going on. So I think it's important to just recognize that this is all happening, and we may not have the answers, we may not know, but we're going to get there, and we're going to get through it. And we'll talk about giving yourself permission a lot, because I think that's important, but giving yourself permission to just kind of say, what just happened? Mm-hmm. Especially a lot of us that work with the mature adult population, we work with a vulnerable population. Myself, I work with mature adults, and I work with people that have mental illness. So you talk about vulnerabilities, they're all exposed, and they're looking to us to be the strong person, to be the one with the answers. So it's so important that we recognize in ourselves that we may be struggling with this, and that's okay, and how to move forward. The other thing is social supports were taken away in the traditional way that we usually utilize them. We couldn't see people as often, or if we could, we couldn't get a hug. We could see them from 6 feet away. So recognizing that some of your social supports were taken away as well. And, just I don't think I've ever used FaceTime as much as I have in these past 2 weeks.
Agreed.
and it's not the same, but thank goodness we have it. My husband is a Navy vet, and he was kind of teasing me, and he's like, oh, you have to FaceTime. And when he was in the Navy, it was all email. So being thankful for what we do have, and we have that ability to connect with people in real time and see their faces. So I think that that's important.
It's a huge blessing that we have that, because can you imagine if we just, this is a challenge in itself, but not being able to even talk or see, well, maybe 15, 20 years ago, we wouldn't have had these capabilities.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, it's the closest thing to being with somebody that you can possibly get. You can see the emotion, or you can get those feelings and see somebody's face. So definitely something to be thankful for through all of this. The next thing I talk about is permission to feel. As a therapist, something so important to me is that in any situation that you give yourself permission to feel what you're feeling. And as I said before, this presentation counts for all of us, and also the people that we're working with, because we are humans just like they are. So we have to allow ourselves to be where we're at. As I said before, I've never been through a pandemic. I don't think anybody else here has to this extent. And I just think that the more we criticize ourselves for feeling a certain way, the worse that it gets. There's going to be moments where there's absolute panic, and then there's going to be moments when you feel like you can handle this. And just allowing that process to happen, and allowing yourself to feel the panic and recognize, of course I feel panic. There's a pandemic, even the word to me just sounds scary. And then also don't assume that because you had control yesterday and things felt good yesterday, that tomorrow might not have a moment where things start to seem out of your control, and that's okay. The one thing I have noticed through this process is each day gets a little bit better, and you have more and more skills. And we're going to talk about, to me, I've kind of come up with, this is like the stages of grief for me. And I'll go through and kind of explain that process out. And once I was able to tie that down and pinpoint that, it helped me quite a bit. We talk about anxiety. Anxiety's main fuel is us thinking that we shouldn't be anxious. I shouldn't be anxious. I'm 30-something years old, or I shouldn't be anxious. I'm a mom, or I shouldn't be anxious. I'm the director of this. Why not? We can all be anxious. And if you're feeling it, so are the people that you care for and the people around you. So if you don't recognize it, you can't help them as good. So let yourself feel that way. One of my favorite therapists and kind of people that I learned about in school was Albert Ellis, and his main thing was stop shoulding all over yourself. I should feel like I'm strong. I should be the strong one. I should have all the answers. Shoulds don't help anybody, especially not in a situation like this. So something I tell myself all the time, stop shoulding on yourself.
I had to like listen to you one more time to hear what you were saying through that one. Like, oh, she said should.
Should, S-H-O-U-L-D. Yeah, no cursing. And I think the more that anxiety builds up, then the panic comes along with it, where we feel like we can't control it. And, you know, once you get to that point, telling somebody not to panic doesn't help, you know, but giving yourself permission to feel the anxiety is going to help with that panic. If you allow yourself to feel a certain way and stop pushing it away or stop saying that it's abnormal, the chance of a panic coming on is less likely. It could still come on, but also recognizing in a panic, this is what it is, and it's okay, and it's not going to last forever, and I will get through it. The biggest thing for me was confusion. Like, who has the answers? You know, when this first came out, I think we're getting more and more information each day, but where are the answers? Who can I trust? What information can I get? You know, is this as bad? You can read two different articles, and one you think everything is totally fine, and the next you think that the world is ending. So, you know, that's a huge part of it. It's just feeling confused, and that leads to anxiety because you don't have the answers or you can't make sense of it. So my advice there is to make sure you get good, reliable resources. You know, I had to go on a total social media diet and media diet and just listen to facts. And that's what helped me the most. And that's one of my coping skills that we're going to talk about too is, you know, looking at the information that's in front of you and using it and seeing what helps you and what doesn't. For me, the articles about people that had it, they weren't helpful to me because everybody is different and I don't know if it's a reliable source, but the numbers that helped me and made it more tangible for me. Another feeling that comes up is loss. So many of us, you know, talking about being grateful, I'm so grateful that I have a job and I can focus my energy on something and I still have an income coming in. And a lot of people, unfortunately, weren't able to do that, you know, restaurant industries, things like that. And you know, I really feel for them. That's super unfortunate and sudden. And so, you know, recognizing that in people, again, we talked about losing contact with loved ones. Not the same contact we used to have. Some of my family I talk to more because of this. Some I talk to less, or some it's just not the same. We've all lost a sense of normalcy. You know, nobody, even if you still went to work the very next day when everything shut down, the whole focus was on the virus and what's going on and what your response is to it. So that sense of normalcy, I think, in a sense, disappeared for everybody. Maybe some of us are getting it back, but the other thing is the very serious thought of losing family members to the virus or something else because of hospital situation or, you know, whatever it is. People are experiencing that. Loss of peace. I definitely lost my peace. And gaining it back. But initially I definitely lost it. There wasn't a moment where my mind was at peace. I was constantly trying to figure things out. And I think that that's so important. And along with that comes that sense of security, of kind of an overall feeling of, I got this, or I can handle this. And I think that disappeared for quite a few people. Fear, you know, goes along with the anxiety. We start asking ourselves, you know, can I get this? Or how serious could this be for me? Do I have an underlying health condition? You know, is my family going to be okay? What if my family has an underlying health condition? A big part of the fear for me, just to share personally, is my husband has an underlying health condition. And we didn't leave the house for 2 weeks. So it was a struggle for me to come back to work and take the precautions and gain that control over myself again. And fear was definitely what was stopping that. So I talked to you guys about the stages. When I look at the stages of grief, it all fits in here to me. Denial. The first thing that a lot of people, oh, that's a virus. It's, it's in Europe or it's in Italy right now or China, and that's not going to come here. We're in America. That stuff doesn't happen here. We all, in a sense, I think all of us went through some of it, or it's not going to be as bad as everybody's thinking. And I think it's a way of protecting ourselves. If we, think that it's not going to happen, maybe it won't. And then it comes, and then we have the anger. Why did this have to happen? Why didn't this governor do this? Why didn't the president do this? Why didn't those people not fly? We start trying to place blame on other people to make sense of it, when maybe some of those are valid points. They might be, but essentially our brain focuses on that to try to make sense of it in our brains, and placing blame is a way to do that. Then we get into bargaining. If I only go out to the grocery store and get bread and I don't touch anything, then I won't get it, right? That's what's safe to do. We start going through, how can we work through this and make sense of it? Depression. The realization that this isn't just going to be a week, and we might be in this for a while. This past weekend, my husband said, "Are you okay? You just seem down." And I just looked up and I said, "I'm just sick of this. I just want this to be over." And that was definitely my depression phase of it. And then you get to acceptance. I knew that I had to come back into the office. I had to overcome my fears, and that this is how it's going to be for a while. And we just have to adjust and do what we can to keep ourselves safe. Again, stages of grief, same thing. You don't get through them and then it's over. I might go back to bargaining or acceptance or denial at any point. And so wherever you are in those, you could go back, you could go forward, you could stay where you're at, but just recognizing that it's a normal process. Again, there is no clinical information that this is exactly the same. Just in my opinion, it seems to really fit into the same categories and stages of grief. So now that we've talked about that, what can we do, right? Where's the positive here? I think it's important to understand why we feel the way we feel, or what we feel, and allow ourselves to. But then there's also things that we can do to make ourselves feel better. So I broke it down into mental coping skills and then physical coping skills. In a time where we can't take our minds off of anything, meditation is a great resource. Meditation is the focus of literally thinking of nothing and just being present in the moment. So the good thing with it is when I started meditating, I was like, I'm awful at this. This is really not good. I want to just focus on nothing. And really in the process, while you're doing that, every time you bring yourself back to the mindfulness, you're getting that much better at it. So being bad at meditation is actually helpful. And there's a lot of different apps. Calm is one app, and they do have some free stuff. Synctuition, Headspace. I read a book, anybody that, watches, I think it's Good Morning America, Dan Harris, 10% Happier. And he wrote a book called Meditation for Fidgety Skeptics. And it was really helpful for me because I was definitely a fidgety skeptic and didn't know that this would work. So he breaks it down into terms of real terms to me. And that was really helpful. And then he has an app called 10% Happier as well that has different guided meditations. A big thing for me was helping others, and putting this presentation together honestly was a huge help for me because it allowed me to go through my process and hopefully help somebody watching it and, kind of say, hey, I felt that way, or, oh, that's okay, it's normal. So that was really helpful to me. My husband and I have also been buying gift cards for some of our favorite restaurants that we would be going to. And we've been calling and actually buying them to speak to like the owners or somebody there to kind of instill hope that, we'll be back, we promise. And you're going to get through this, and here's what we're doing to help. So we've been doing that. My neighbor, shopping for older adults, my neighbor is in a position where it's not easy for her to get out and shop. She had knee surgery and she's older. So we've been trying to help her with whatever groceries we can, posting resources for families. One thing I can say is that this community of mental health individuals and just helping professionals has been so prevalent and so responsive to all of this, and the resources posted and just information for parents that have kids at home. And just individuals struggling with things going on. That has been so helpful, and just it amazes me, and I think it's such a good thing that we continue to do this. And it looks like I have my wrong notes there. Sorry, hang on here.
It's okay. You're doing a great job. Fantastic.
Thank you. I saved all different notes, so.
I think so like some of the stuff that's posted right now, like on the slide, like I can say personally, like in my normal everyday life, pets, like we were just talking about before we got on this call, like that's always my saving grace through everything. So that unconditional love, like it's just always there. And I love having that. And some of these things are great. Like last night we were sitting on the couch and one of the stores, a metaphysical store, went live and they did a live meditation over Facebook.
Awesome.
And so there's so many, like people are getting so creative with ways that they normally would in their store, or like you talk about like restaurants and stuff. Like we're ordering through Bite Squad, and through different the delivery apps, and they're doing like contactless delivery, which is really cool. So it's neat to see everybody still supporting one another, like you said, like you're supporting the restaurants and the economy, but still following everything we need to be doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's, so helpful. And just, making sure that it's instilling hope, which I think that there's nothing better than that, honestly. If Absolutely. We can we'll know that, this is going to end, it will. It might be a long road, but it's going to end and we're going to get through it. And I think that that's so important. And again, Brittany, my dog is like my whole life. And he doesn't say a word. and I think that that's so helpful and so important, just to make sure that we use the resources that we have at our disposal. Anything that helps on a normal basis with a rough day can help during this too, keeping that in mind. I'm a big puzzle person. I love any kind of game that has a puzzle, or anything that just tries to make your brain think. For me, that's the most effective thing, of just being able to distract myself. I think is so good. Deep breathing is another great one that people use. It's not good for me because I think about the next breath. So I'm somebody that is more higher on the anxiety scale. So that speaks to the point of figuring out what's right for you, and making sure that these things are good for you. Different games, reading. Getting back into reading if that's something that you let go of. Or if you do read, try a different kind of book. I read murder mysteries. Probably not the best thing for me right now. So reading a romance novel or an autobiography or a biography, something like that, changing it up. Social media and media diet we talked about. Find out if you feel bad after you watch this show every single day, try to cut that show out. If you feel good after you watch this show, try to add that one in. I removed all notifications on my phone, so that way I could only find stuff if I wanted to. And it constantly reminded to me. That was helpful. I'm a big believer in a thankfulness journal and a gratitude journal. So writing down the things that you're thankful for. What do we have? Thank God for FaceTime, right? We talked about that. How about the family time? I haven't spent this much time with my husband in I don't know how long because of both of our work schedules. So enjoying that and being thankful for that. I'm so thankful for that. Find a new TV series. I can't lie, I definitely am watching The Office for the third time again because it just makes me feel good.
It's always a good one.
Yep. And so even if I'm feeling that way, I'll just pick a random episode. And those are such important things. For the physical coping skills, exercise is a huge one. So many gyms and fitness gurus have really taken this and made it so easy for all of us to continue exercising. I joined Peloton, which I thought you had to have a bike. You don't. They do classes and you can just have some free weights, or you can use your own body weight. They have yoga classes. They have strength training, high intensity interval, all different kinds. And just YouTube. YouTube has so much free information out there.
I just learned about Peloton yesterday. I was on with Sunways, Ellie and Mark Baldwin, and they actually have the bike. And they were like, we thought this might be a waste of spending money, but now it's become like their main way to every day get exercising. And they talked about those classes as well.
Yep, absolutely. And I've done some of the classes, and they're good. And you kind of look forward to seeing that instructor like it's a real live social event. So that's really fun too. Music can go both. A good dance helps everybody, I think. Whether you want people to see you dance or not, that's up to you. But and at home self care, I think in 3 weeks we're gonna find out everybody's real hair color. And go get our hair done. But there are a lot of things that you can do at home to make yourself feel good. I'm huge on self-care, and if it's a face mask or something that you can get at the store when you're out picking up your essentials, things like that, making sure you do that. Sticking to a routine. So important to follow your same, if you're working from home, follow your same routine. Get up, shower, take the dog out, do what you normally do. Because that's that sense of normalcy that is going to continue to come back as things go further and further. And if we can, those are the definites, right? Your dog has to go out, we have to shower, do it in the same routine. I worked from home for a while, and I was so excited to be able to wear sweatpants and a sweat. And then after about, I'd probably say a month, I started wearing work clothes in my house because it made me feel better. So keep that in mind. I'm a Deion Sanders fan, and his whole thing is if you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you play good. If you play good, you win. And I think that's so important. If you feel good, I think everything else is going to be a little bit better. And then drives. My husband and I have been going for drives. We don't get out. We don't do anything. We just go drive around, and we talk, and it's just a different scenery. It feels like you're doing something, even if so I think those are really helpful things and important things to be able to focus on and cope with everything going on.
I 100% agree with you. We go for rides. Even before all this, we used to just go out and have no destination, but just be able to go out, put some good music on, whether you put the windows down or convertible top back or whatever you do, it just makes you feel good.
Absolutely. And you can combine the music with that talk, it's definitely a good platform for that. So the rest of the information that I provided was really just about our inpatient services, our outpatient services. Our outpatient services we are now offering through telehealth. So nobody has to come into those programs on a daily basis. They can log on from their phone, computer, tablet at home. The only time they have to come to the facility is just to do the initial assessment and sign the paperwork. And then they can continue the rest of the program via telehealth. And so that is something we recently just added. And then also we can send out, I just have information from our website about all of our programs, the insurances that we accept. And again, just a reminder, we can be used just for an assessment if you have somebody that's struggling with this, or just, the rest of the world didn't stop and life didn't stop. So if you had depression before this, you still have it now. We can be definitely used as a resource. It's a level of care assessment, and we can point you in the right direction, and we'd be more than happy to.
This is so helpful. I myself, I'm just kind of going through some of your slides on your website. Everybody can check out, and I'll put your website address on this post.
Okay, great.
Let me come back to you and I real quickly here. There I am. I'm still in outer space. Oh. I don't know why, but I think it's so funny. The beach one that I have, the scene is funny to me because, we're obviously not at the beach. But this one, I feel like I keep saying I'm self-quarantining out in space, keeping my distance more than 6 foot, or 6 feet.
That's fitting, definitely.
So, I really appreciate all the information you shared. It's like you said, I love that you said it helped you and it helped me listening. And I know that for people that are tuning in looking for things to do, things to think about, this is going to be awesome. So thank you so much for your time.
Glad to do it. Thanks for setting it up.
Absolutely. And can you share with everybody, so reintroduce yourself and Suncoast, and then a phone number that you could be reached at, or if anybody has wants any more information about Suncoast.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can scan you a business card too. That might be best. I'm Misti Schrader. I am the Director of Business Development at Suncoast Behavioral Health Center. We're an inpatient psych hospital. We also have outpatient services. We serve all ages. If anybody is looking for additional information, our main number is 941-251-5000. And that will get you, that's a 24-hour number that's monitored. That will get you right to our intake and assessments department. And then if anybody has anything for me personally, you can call my number at 941-251-5009. That isn't monitored 24/7. I'm good, but I'm not that good. I do. But if you can leave a message and I will definitely get back to you. Email's also a good, another good resource for me. And I'm usually able to answer that the quickest out of everything. So Brittany, you can share that as well.
All right, perfect. Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for all this information. You're awesome. And thank you for all the services that you guys are providing to our community.
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me.
All right. We'll see you later.
Okay, bye.